From the lush green lands to the cascading waterfalls, wonders of the world, the oldest habitat of territories on Earth, a rich cultural heritage, a continent of 1.1 billion people, second largest and most populous, a continent pregnant with possibilities, home to 30% of Earth's mineral resources, 50% of its people under 25 years. Africa, the land of the great. Our spirit resilient. Our enterprise profitable. Our future inspiring. Africa is inspiring. Be inspired.
Hello and good afternoon. I'm Dr. Chinwe Madubuike, and I'm talking to you today about the role of women in a nation's development. When we talk about development, what exactly do we mean? Well, we can look at it in one of two ways. One of the ways in which to look at development is as a profession, as a body, as a sector in which international agencies work very closely with local agencies to just, develop a nation. Then another way to look at development is the natural evolution that most nations go through in order to, just evolve as a full country. So in the first instance, where it's more structured, it's even professionalized, you have agencies like the World Bank, the International Monetary Fund, the U.S. Agency for International Development, and the Department for International Development that work with local partners, local NGOs, to contribute towards a nation's development. And that's more professionalized, that's more structured. Then you have the other type that I was talking about, where it's looking at things as basic as providing water, providing energy, structuring roads, revamping the healthcare sector, revamping the education sector, those different types of basic things that need to happen in order to get an economy going and thriving. For Nigeria, we're at a crossroads. We're at we just fall between the two spectrums, where we've had the professionalized development taking place, and we have the more natural evolution of development taking place in the country. And it seems, it takes a bit of time to get it right, but I can tell you that we're definitely on that journey. What are one of the reasons that make us, how can we say that we're on that journey? There's no way you can do development without women being present. Nigeria is at a crossroads. It's at the professionalized stage of development, where we have all of these international actors coming in and working alongside with developing actors within the country, and you have the natural evolution of development taking place. Now, none of this can happen without the role of women being amplified and revved up. There's a nice little quote that comes to mind, which is, "Women hold up half of the sky." And that quote was given by Mao Zedong, who is known as the father of China and the father of communism. Now, before you think I'm trying to promote a communist agenda, very early on, before Mao Zedong rose to prominence, in China's history, women were subjected to a process called feet binding. And this was a process that was supposed to help their feet look smaller, more aesthetically pleasing and dainty, as to measure up with what women's roles were supposed to be, kind of quiet, understated, and definitely in the background. Now, so when Mao Zedong made that statement, it was quite profound, and it was a proclamation, and he backed it up with action. State-run nurseries sprung up around China. They had restaurants or canteens that offered really cheap, affordable food for working parents. They made it possible for women to leave the house and know that somehow the children were being looked after. Again, I'm not trying to promote a particular way of life. There is a flip side to that. When China decided to have a one-child policy, most people decided to have only male children. So what did that mean for women? Girl children were abandoned, they were forcefully aborted, women were sterilized. So, there's a whole lot of things that happened there that I'm not trying to advocate. So it had its flip side. But one thing was clear, that as China began to evolve and women began to take more prominent roles in their society, the country really boomed. And what we see today as China can partly be traced back to that proclamation of women holding the sky. 29 million of the country's entrepreneurs have been reported, are reported to be some of the highest wage earners in the continent, and a lot of them have been employed in the higher echelons of management throughout the continent. China has really shown leadership in this direction.